He confessed to a crime no one knew happened, until they dug up the yard. In the heart of Atlanta's glamour district, where luxury SUVs glided down manicured boulevards and Instagram influencers documented lives that seemed impossibly perfect, something sinister was growing beneath the surface. Beneath one quiet, tree-lined street in Buckhead, buried under the shade of a dogwood tree, a box waited to be unearthed. What lay inside wasn't just evidence. It was the truth about a crime no one even knew had happened. Jeremy Caldwell hadn't slept in days when he finally asked to speak to Detective Harris. He didn't want a lawyer. He didn't want a deal. He wanted a shovel. "You're going to find it," Jeremy whispered, eyes hollow. "Not just what we took, but what they made me bury." Detective Harris raised an eyebrow, trying to read the 22-year-old's face. Jeremy looked exhausted, defeated, but beneath the surface, there was something else, something like rage. The detective had heard plenty of confessions in his 20 years on the force, but this one was different. Jeremy wasn't just giving up accomplices. He was unearthing a blueprint, one that pointed to something far larger than any single break-in. That night, under a half-moon sky, officers dug beneath the yard of an abandoned house on the city's edge. The first metallic clank came just before dawn. A sealed container marked by time and moisture. Inside, cell phones, flash drives, cash, a diamond-pendant engraved MC, and a stack of printed Instagram posts. Each photo was circled, each caption annotated. It wasn't just stolen property. It was a hit list. Atlanta had long been a beacon for celebrities, musicians, athletes, influencers. But their curated posts had become the very thing that betrayed them. The city's elite had been unknowingly feeding the appetite of crew that called themselves drug-rich, a gang that watched every story, every tag, every boast, and turned them into their own personal shopping list. Marlo Hampton was one of the first to speak out. "They took my mother's necklace," she said, voice cracking. "I can replace the bags, the shoes, but that necklace? That was my goodbye." Calvin Ridley, known more for interceptions and interviews, admitted he hadn't felt safe in his own home since. They didn't just take what was valuable. They took what was sacred. These weren't random burglaries. These were highly coordinated, precision-timed invasions, and the victims were selected not from word of mouth, but from hashtags and live locations. Jeremy, once a lookout and getaway driver, had graduated to something more central. He was a strategist, and his downfall came not from greed, but from betrayal. It was supposed to be one last job, Jeremy told police. But Nova, he had other plans. "He cut me out, left me take the fall." Nova, a name that echoed through the Atlanta rap scene like a siren. Real name Sean Waverly. The 26-year-old had built a following on his razor-sharp lyrics and fearless delivery. But behind the bars and bravado was a man who had turned crime into choreography. Nova's music videos were filled with ski masks, luxury cars, and coded language that the crew used as instruction manuals. Lyrics like "keys in the planter," "safe in the floor/don't knock," "kick, make your own door," were passed around like blueprints. Jeremy revealed that Nova uses fame to scout victims, train lookouts, even fund operations. His followers weren't just fans. They were soldiers. The deeper investigators dug, the more they uncovered a pattern of robberies timed with tour dates, social media absences, and tag locations. Celebrities thought they were sharing memories, but they were publishing their vulnerabilities. A city on the rise was being mapped out and torn apart by those watching from the shadows. In one case, Nova posted a cryptic story hours after Mariah Carey's home was burglarized. A pair of diamond earrings and a black heart emoji. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a trophy. Detective Harris assembled a task force that worked around the clock. They began decoding the gang's movements. One major breakthrough came when analysts cross-referenced a series of TikTok dances filmed in a lavish kitchen. The background? Identified as the home of a traveling NFL player. 2 days later, his home was stripped clean. Jeremy's map, buried in that yard, wasn't just a list of past victims. It was a roadmap for what was to come. The crew didn't operate like amateurs. They used burner phones, encrypted apps, even drones to scout properties. Nova had trained them to believe they were untouchable. Then came the betrayal. Nova began cutting loose ends. Members who asked questions, who grew sloppy. Jeremy was one of them. He told me we'd split the take, Jeremy said. Next thing I know, the cops are at my door, and he's on stage in Miami like nothing happened. In court, Jeremy was the star witness. When asked to identify the ringleader, he hesitated, eyes darting to man who once called him brother. Then he raised his hand and pointed. He left me there, Jeremy said I'd be fine, that the heat would cool off. But the only thing that cooled was the dirt over that box. The courtroom was silent. Nova stared back, jaw clenched. He knew the code had been broken. News outlets across the country ran with the story. Rapper behind celebrity robberies brought down by former accomplice. The fallout was massive. Nova's streaming numbers plummeted. Sponsors pulled out. Venues canceled appearances. But the emotional cost went far beyond music. In Atlanta, fear had taken root. Neighborhood associations hosted emergency meetings. Home surveillance systems became the top-selling item in local electronics stores. Celebrities moved out or hired private security firms. Parents started teaching their children about the dangers of oversharing online. What once seemed harmless, posting a location tag, flashing a new watch, was now seen as an open invitation. Mayor Keisha Lansbottoms addressed the city. We are known for our music, our culture, our resilience. But we must also be known for our caution. Fame does not make you invincible. It makes you visible. The case sparked national debate about how social media, privacy, and crime are intertwined. And at the center of it all was a dogwood tree and the boy who buried more than just secrets. Months later, Jeremy Caldwell was transferred to a lower security facility. He now tends to a small garden planted over the same yard, where police unearthed the cruise ledger. He waters the flowers every morning, always starting with the dogwood. People think we rob for money, he said. But really we robbed to matter, just for one night. And then we woke up to realize we buried more than just stuff. He had confessed to a crime no one even knew had happened, until they dug up the yard. And with that, Atlanta and the world was forced to look at what we share and who might be watching. For more content like this, subscribe to our channel.